Welcome, adventurer. I am GM Goblin, and this is a Goblin Plays, and we are playing Guild Wars 2. So, one of my first videos I wanted to do, and I was about to make a new character, I figured that it could be over character creation in Guild Wars 2. That is one of the things that some people like. They like to get in depth, and so I figured I'd show you the options for characters, and we could take a look. As you can see, I have a total of 6 character slots. Now, when you start the game, at least from what I remember after coming back, that you're going to start with 5 character slots. And you're going to be able to create so many characters. If you get an addition, you're going to get something called a level 80 boost. And I'm going to be using that, I think, in my next video. But you'll have 5 character slots. All your additional character slots, you will have to pay with gems, so actual money. Or you can turn gold into gems and then purchase it that way. But I have bought a couple extra character slots because I wanted some alts, mostly to sit around. And now we're going to see what creating a character looks like. So you have a total of 5 different races. Your Char are your lovable cat people with horns. They are a warlike race. It is something that has been, I believe they were the big bad or kind of the opposing force in original Guild Wars, but they are very warlike, very proud people. You have humans. Human is actually the most played race for once in a game, and they are kind of the race that lost their homeland and they're barely hanging on from the last wars. And so they all pull from one big city. You have the Norn. The Norn are kind of your giant humans. They're very much kind of that Viking feel. They're really cool. Probably my favorite in all actuality. You can look at the characters for each one, male and female, real quick. I really like the Norn. Really cool hair. And then sometimes when you get the body, since they're bigger and thicker, their body doesn't have that really thin, old feel to their character models whenever you create them. I have a couple Norns, actually. One, two. But next race is going to be, and the Norn and the Char are the same size from everything I've seen. So they are going to be your large races. Humans are definitely shorter than they are around chest height. Same thing for the Sylvari. And then the Asura, our next race, is going to be the short kings of the group. They are the super intelligent alchemical inventors of this world. Their city is full of teleporters. They have basically comms and cell phones that they use. You can think the mix of medieval fantasy and magic along with technology to these guys. There are mechs, robots throughout this game and storyline, and most all of them stem from these little dudes. They are short, mostly bald. You can put some hair on them, but they are a little pear-shaped in their appearance, and then they have 3 toes on their feet. So I guess I should show the Char in depth. Most of you know what a human looks like, I'm sure. But they are feline with horns. They got 2 ears. I don't remember why exactly, but you can change their size somewhat. Physique, hiding underneath all that fur. And then the cool thing with them is changing their patterns for my Char. And then you can change all their hairstyles, which can get really cool. And then you can also change their horn styles. My son is in love with the Char. All of his characters are Chars and will probably always be Chars. And then the last, the Sylvari. Sylv. So they are awakened beneath the pale tree. Knowledge gleaned from their pre-life dream. Noble beings travel seeking adventure and pursuing quests. They are the nature-loving, magic-attuned class. They're almost like the elves, I would say. Let's take a look at them. Guys. Here's the ladies. And so they are plants in general. And I do have one. My necromancer is actually one of these guys. But that's about how you're looking at them. The leaves and the leaf pattern that you can get is pretty cool for these guys. Just probably not my favorite. When it comes to a slider, you have standard eyebrow sliders for things. And then you've got nose, lips, you can change fullness. There is no color to your lips. Your chin, you have got some okay options on here. It is not super in-depth like some of the newer games like BDO is with certain aspects of it. BDO, you can model your character to be as crazy or as large in certain areas as you want or as skinny. But that also means one of the complaints that we had with Chrono Odyssey, or some people had with Chrono Odyssey beta test, was that there was no limitations to those sliders. So you had 9-foot, skinny, green looking alien characters, and there were some people that didn't like it. I don't really care that much. Most people won't do that. You'll just have a few trolls running around, so I think it's okay. But those are our races. All right. First class we're going to look at, and one of my personal favorites, is going to be the Guardian. They're kind of heavy armored fighters. They specialize using virtues, which are kind of their three main abilities. They give passive effects, and they provide continuous benefits, boosts, or boons in this game to themselves and all nearby allies. They can also activate those, and instead of pulsing from this tablet that you draw around, you're going to be having them do a large projective area. It can be anything like a shield or big heal or something like that. And then they put the continuous pulsing effect, the normal effect of it. It's going to be on cooldown. You're going to see that with several different classes where they're going to have mechanics or even just abilities like that. And when you equip them onto your bar, you're going to have effects that will normally just pulse, and then once you press them, they'll do a stronger effect, but they turn that pulse off for a limited amount. It is a pretty cool class. A lot of people say it's their favorite, mostly because of one of the expansions that came out gave a really cool specialization. And all of these classes, they start off as their base class, get all the way up to level 80. After level 80 and you collect some more experience through hero points, you're going to be able to select, if you have any of the expansions, you're going to be able to select a specialization. And the specializations will depend on each class. Each class currently has 4 specializations for each one. And then, of course, the amount of builds that you have for each class is quite a few. I mean, it's limitless. And don't feel wrong, or too bad. If you are a free player and you want to get into it, you can play through the entirety of the game just as a basic core character. You will be just fine. There are plenty of builds out there that will help you out. I do recommend going to Snow Crows or some of the others if you want good, reputable builds to try and follow and spend your resources once you get them. But it is an excellent class. Blue is a very big gimmick with its theme. Warriors. So, warrior is your master of weaponry. They rely on speed and strength. They use heavy armor, even though it doesn't look it on her. And they use shouts in a lot of their attacks. One of their big abilities is they get fury as they attack, and as they're attacking, they build up this fury, and then they can hit an ability, and they're going to start spending this. They attack so much faster, and it just pours on the damage. There are 4 specializations, like I said before. I think I'll make videos on those actually. But they are pretty cool. They even have a class that came out with End of Dragon where they have what's called a gun blade, and it is a large 2-handed sword with a gun in it. It has its own little mechanic. A lot of these classes, their specializations after level 80, some of them just stack onto it, and so it's kind of a similar feel. Other ones, they change it up entirely, and so that is definitely one that I would consider. But it's cool class. I don't have a warrior yet, really, but they're pretty cool. I have fought with quite a few of them, and I think they can use the most weapon combinations of anyone else in the game. It's just that big kind of feel, and they use a lot of shouts, including when they do a healing or kind of boon roll where they're healing the party members. They use a lot of shouts and grunts, and they've got area effect fields that they put down that are like banners and shouts. Revenant. Revenant, you will have to own an expansion to be able to play this. Revenant, I originally thought it was going to be kind of like a Death Knight whenever I tried it out. It is not. It is pretty cool. The kit, I'll have to show in one of my other videos, is a little bit lackluster, even though it's really cool and it's a very good class. It doesn't allow you to swap out all of your skills. Instead, you swap out skills from legends that you take. So you invoke legendary heroes, and it's almost more of a oracle kind of character. You're pulling from the mists these spirits, and that's where your power's from. And so you can invoke a dragon, and you have constant speed boons like forever. You invoke, an assassin, and you deal more damage. And so whenever you invoke that class, you get your 7, 8, 9, 10, and 0, or 9 and 0 skills are specific to that class. So you can change where they are. Those are the only skills you get. Other classes like Warrior Guardian, you're going to have a plethora of skills that you can pick from, change up your toolkit. The class is still really cool, and it's around. It just isn't as flexible as some of the other ones, but it's pretty cool. And it has a lot of swapping, because when you get into combat, you constantly start gaining part of your resource. And then when you spend it all the way, if you swap to your other legendary, then it fills your bar back up. And then, so the idea is you're constantly swapping for this class. I have one of these, and it's still pretty cool. Engineer. An engineer is kind of like your master mechanical character. They don't really swap weapons in a traditional sense. Instead, they have a unique mechanic that allows them to use kits or utility belt. So you'll put something on your bar where you'll have a grenade, and then your first 5 skills will go from weapon skills to grenade skills. It's a pretty cool class. It gets your full-on run-around automaton mech that you can have as a specialization, and it can do a lot of the fighting for you too. But it's pretty cool. Your thief uses its own special energy. It's called initiative, and so it starts off at full, and then each skill, which has no cooldown, uses it. So most times you spam your most powerful skill, and then that's what builds are usually based off of. And it does pretty good. It has a little bit of teleportation. It's got some forward teleportation to be aggressive, and then 2 of its skills allow you to either A, teleport back to the original location just for yourself, or teleport a party or your party with you from a current location back to a previous location that you set up within reason. Obviously, there's a range to it, but it's pretty cool. It also is a class that is going to be able to give you invisibility as you're going in to that main boss, and a lot of builds can even revolve around going invisible with her. Ranger, I have to admit, I haven't played much Ranger. Um, they start off with their animal companion, and it's a true pet class, very much what your engineer can turn into with a mechanist as its specialty. A ranger gets this from the get-go, and so they have their pet. They can normally, it attacks with you. You go through your normal skill chains, and it's just there with you. It can help tank for you, and you can even issue commands to it. And then you can actually swap your pets, and you can pick up more pets. So if you like to have different kinds of pets, this is the class for you. You can get them throughout the game. There are some really cool specializations with it. Gale Shot's a lot of people's favorite. It is a full-on kind of that ranger feel, all ranged. You have Druid, which was the first one, came out in Heart of Thorns, and it's a very, very healer spec kind of class. But there are some other ones where you actually meld yourself and take on the abilities of your familiar or your companion as well. But Elementalist. So Elementalist is, at least I thought, kind of like your general wizard, and it is. They attune themselves to air, earth, fire, water. Elementalist, right? Uh, they can switch between all four of them. They have a ton of skills. It can be very hard to play an elementalist, especially if you don't like a lot of button mashing, and if you don't want something that's got a high APM to it. So, but your first 5 skills are dependent on your 1 or 2 weapons that you have, and then you have 5 different abilities with those skills, depending on whichever element you're in. So if you're in air, it does something different than all the others, and so you're rotating through them. And then, especially with your specializations, you're looking at having additional extra abilities. Some of your abilities, just like your signets that they use, like we talked about with Guardian, being able to click on it and it does one thing. Elementalist has the exact same thing. They can even set up fields in their area that deal damage. Now, they are called the downed class for a reason. They are super, and I mean super squishy. They are a light class. As you see, all of these are set up as heavy, medium classes, and then light. But they are very, very squishy. Necromancer, they are very not squishy. They probably have the highest or one of the highest health pools in the game, ironically. If you want to play your Death Knight, play this. Necromancer is going to be able to siphon life. Reaper, if you really want to get that feel for it, is going to be their specialization that you want. It is still a top tier damage, and Necromancers, if you play them right, they're unkillable. I mean, they start off with an ability, and you go into Reaper, and even the newest one, Ritualist, do the same thing, and they go into a shroud, which means as you deal damage in your normal state, their power bar fills up. You go into shroud, and this class is going to get a second health bar, which is that power, and then it drains power depending on what skills you use. Ritualist is fairly broken in my view at this point, mostly because it will fill that up faster than you can drain it on a decent build, and so you will stay in shroud form continuously. But Necromancer is a great class. It is what I recommend if you just want a easy class to get used to and an easy class to explore the world in. They are fun. Like I said, there's Rondi builds, power builds, so you're looking at dot builds or powerful impact builds, and they also have plenty of life drain. They also, above anyone else, also have abilities which allow them to revive people easier than any other class, at least that I know of. And so you can take someone from a down state and you can bring them back real easy. In fact, during one boss fight, I did over 20 individuals playing my Necromancer, just trying to see how many that I could get back from a down state. And I think we were fighting a dragon at the time, but they're great. If you just want any class for beginners, I recommend this class. Mesmer. And this is actually the class I'm going to be using for this character slot. Mesmer is the purple class. It has also got a pretty unique mechanic to it where the class produces images. So they make clones, illusions of themselves. And these phantasms look like they're fighting, and you can blow them up to deal damage or to deal healing. And it is a very reactionary class. Some of these classes you can get away with just going through your rotations and you're probably going to be good. Mesmer, because the way it is when it sets up your clones, is going to be fairly reactionary, but they're pretty cool. One of the main reasons I am going to make a level 80 Mesmer is going to be the fact that I want the ability of the Mesmer to be able to teleport. So your rogue can teleport usually in a retreat, which you can just do it in reverse. But the Mesmer has a better and a longer teleport, and it can go both ways. So while it's up, you can send people back and forth through it. So it's great for getting around. So that's what we're going to make. So before you can do anything with your character, really before you can use, say, a level 80 boost, or before you really get into the world or storyline, you're going to have to do the tutorial. Oh, yay. All of them are going to be kind of similar. For me, we're going to come talk to this person. And after we talk to them, they're going to have us kill one of three things. Most of your tutorials are pretty much the same. You have this emergency happened, go kill something. Now, after we have gone and killed our single mob and done our hard quest of learning how to move, or possibly you went and had to defend a town from a couple attacking foes. After this, and a short cutscene, the next thing we have to do is fight your boss. You will go through the exact same thing on every single class, and what we do is we have to go now and fight our first boss. Now, after an easy but epic fight, you're going to be teleported back, and this is you coming out of your tutorial instance. You'll get your first reward, you'll hit level 2, and now you can go about the world. When it comes to leveling your character, one thing that you do have to know is, if you want to get into the storyline doesn't progress beyond this point, outside of individual quests that you find, until level 10. 10 levels after that, you get another section of the story. Now, it's more than just a quest, so it'll take you a little bit for each 10 levels for you to do that section of the story. But you will have to go out and explore the world and do missions and do hearts and participate in meta to level up. This is going to happen every 10 levels. Your first 30 levels is specific to your race. So whether you went with Norn or Char, it's going to be very specific. And then they converge after that. They converge and the story progresses fairly similarly. You do a story either from a living world or an expansion like Heart of Thorns. It is much more of a continued story, you being led, going from one location to another to participate either in an instance or a story mission that you need. So you don't have to have near of a time gap between you doing a story. Remember to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the world of Tyria. Remember to come back and join us at Goblin Place.